Senator Begich is next.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. If I can, I want to follow up on those comments, but also the discussion that went back and forth with Senator Ayotte in regards to what sequestration would do. And I think the word I heard, and I don't know if it was the word of the day, was devastating. But I also think what you just heard is also devastating. That's billions that for years. And let me give you an example. Last year, this committee unanimously agreed to get rid of the funding for MEADS. But you have now presented again in your budget to fund it. Almost $500 million. Makes no sense. Now, I know you'll tell me the contract says this. Every contract ever let by any department of any federal government, state government, local government is subject to appropriation. Subject to appropriation. Now, I know people say, well, we never really exercise that. Well, too bad. Contractors sign that. I was a mayor. That's how it works. You sign it, you understand. If we don't give you the money because we don't appropriate it, then you're out of business. We don't do the contract. So I understand, and I know what's going on because people want to make the case. So later down the road, a couple months from now, we'll try to delete Defense Department out of sequestration and then take it out of the hide of everyone else. Well, everyone's on the table until we resolve this, because isn't it more devastating that if we don't solve the deficit problem, sequestration is pocket change to compare to what will happen if the economy crashes because we can't deal with the deficit. Who would like to dare to throw something on the table and answer that? Am I mistaken? I mean, isn't that really, I think some of the folks in the military, DOD, have said the debt is the biggest security risk to this country. Did I miss that?
I can't comment on the broader issue, but I would like to say a word about MEADS if I could. MEADS isn't just a contract. It's an agreement with two of our most closest international partners.
Yeah, and we pay 75% of it for a system we're not really going to use fully. So I understand it. I've had this debate in my office from folks from not your shop specifically, but from everyone from the Pentagon to the contractor, because they get a little freaked out when we start talking about canceling a program. Well, to me, we passed in the Defense Authorization Bill, don't do this program. Then you present the budget for $400 more million. I understand all this international relationship activity, but we're paying the tab. Two of the countries, Germany and I think it's Italy, the other one, Italy has no money. They're in their own problem. Germany questions this, but I know the machinery has been busy to make sure we got letters from folks to say they're there. But it just really, I understand the word of the day is devastating, but I will use that word. It's devastating to hear all these cost overruns, the lack of recognition. In your comment, and I can't remember how you exactly said it, but you said you'll always have cost overruns.
Senator, what I said was that I cannot guarantee that we will not. I'm going to do everything in my power, if I'm confirmed, to keep costs up, to eliminate them.
Yeah, in 3 years.
It's actually save us money on our programs and come in below the budget. That's what we're challenging all of our people to do.
That's good.
But the history suggests that that's going to be a very difficult task.
Would it be pretty much like almost 100% of the history? A high number.
We rarely have a program that does not overrun, at least somewhat.
That tells you that system is broken.
It tells me, after 40 years of experience in the system, that we have a lot of forces for optimism and that we make mistakes about what we can do and how long it will take and what it will cost routinely for a variety of reasons.
I would say this, as a former mayor, if I had my purchasing department have a record like that, a high percentage of them wouldn't be working there. It'd be a different deck, because obviously they're incapable of the long-term determination of what these values are. And I will tell you, you can do projects if you design and change them. Let me give you one example. When we built a convention center in Anchorage, $100+ million, everyone feared it would go over budget. We did something the government never does. First off, we made it a guaranteed maximum price based on a 35% design, and then we made sure the contractors, the people who actually own the companies, personally guaranteed any cost overruns. None of this garbage about their corporations, because that's phony baloney stuff. But suddenly when you get the CEO have to sign $2 million personal guarantee, just like every bank does for them. We're the best bank, federal government. I would encourage you, for every contractor, that does business with us, that has a record of cost overruns, you tell the CEO and the CFO, we have a new arrangement, because they make a lot of money. When I look at these contractors, these CEOs make a lot of money. Put their name on the dotted line, and I guarantee you, just like we have here, you know, if our budgets and our operations, our personal offices go over budget, guess what? I have to write a check for all the employees that work for me here in the Senate. If I go over budget, I got to write a personal check. So change the deck and get a little more responsible. This was not my line of questioning. I just got a little agitated here when I heard the word of the day, devastating. Somehow we're the blame for it. We're all in this mess. The lack of oversight over the years of the Defense Department and the cost overruns that you just heard cited, the lack of following through on things we pass here and tell you to do, you don't do. So let me stop my rant and get to my questions. I apologize but you understand my point.
I do, Senator, and I agree with you completely. We have to get better business deals. That's the essence of what we need to do. We need very strong incentives for our contractors to give them a very good reason, a very good financial reason to do better.
Have the
That's
CEOs,
what they'll respond to.
Yeah, have the CEOs and CFOs sign on the dotted line personally, guarantee. I'll tell you what happened to that project. Guess what? We got it done right on schedule. And guess what? Below the budget. It was amazing. Amazing thing. And we got more for the money we spent because they got innovative. I mean, so I'm just giving you a thought here. Now, of course, the contractors didn't like it, but guess what? They're still doing business in our city because they became a very good qualified, and they use that now example to get business around the country, what they can do. They can use it. So let me put you on hold for a second, if I can. Secretary Connaughton, let me ask you, and I'm sure you were aware that I was going to do this to you on Eileson Air Force Base. It goes to the same thing. Here we are in the process of the Air Force determining that Eileson should have a reduction within the F-16s and shift them. They've estimated around 600 military personnel, undetermined civilian for some reason. They can't figure that out, but they've already identified the exact potential savings they're going to have because they've presented through the budget process, and then the result is they've calculated that in and everyone's signed off on it, so it's all good. But now they're sending a team up. Won't even be there till mid-April to determine what the savings are. Help me here. It seems a little backwards. I think, you know, usually you'd send a team in, do an analysis, and not just the Air Force, but the secondary impacts. For example, they have no clue if Elmendorf, where they want to shift these, will have the capacity to house these new facilities, as well as the personnel that go along with it, and the airspace that is much more, or a lot more crowded than ever before. We're the 4th largest cargo hub in the world. That's not the case it was 20 years ago when they used that as an example of how they think they can save money. So help me here.
Sure, Senator. I know this has been a topic of conversation between you and Secretary Donnelly and General Schwartz, and I understand that you still have some outstanding questions that you haven't gotten complete answers to, so let me, on their behalf, promise to go back and follow up. In terms of the timing, the simple reality was because of the need to achieve the savings that you referred to earlier in terms of meeting the Budget Control Act targets, we had to make a series of decisions in the time frame of the budget cycle inside the Department of Defense. Part of the reason that we don't have that change at Eileson kicking in until fiscal year 15 is in order to do some additional work. And I definitely understand your frustration about the order in which this has been undertaken.
I will just end on this. My time's up. They have told in the hearing we had, or not hearing, but public meeting, that families will be started to be moved, or troops, in 13. That's not far away. So I'm very nervous about the uncertainty they are sitting with in that community, because they've been told in the next 7 months or so, 2013, this starts moving. And we're very nervous about the lack of understanding of the cost. So if you could respond back to us, everyone who comes here gets this question.
Absolutely.
If you have Air Force tagged on you, you're going to get the question.
I appreciate that, Senator, and I do promise to get back to you with some additional information on behalf of Secretary Donnelly and General Schwartz.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I have some other questions I'll just submit for the record on rare earth issues and some other issues, and I'll just submit them for the record. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Begich.